Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and we are continuing a breakdown of all the divisions, and this time we're going up north to the AFC North, otherwise known as the garbage fire of a division. And by of a division, I mean just the Cleveland Browns. But all jokes aside, I think the Browns are going to be better, considering they've won one game in the past 2 years. I feel like this is their year where they might win 2 games. But before we get to that, let's take care of some business and thank our wonderful sponsors, DoubleDriveSports.com. So check them out right now. They are doing a preseason run through. Basically what it is imagine like you have a pool with your friends in which you're picking teams, who you think is going to win on each game. Well, it's that, but on the internets. And so you go and you do that. You create a league with your friends. It's super fun. There's live scores. You can chat with your friends right on the website. There's a limited number of users right now, so you're kind of getting in while it's hot. It's a really fun site. So you create a league, go on with your friends, and then at the end of the year, the person who has picked the most games correctly wins a prize. So go on and check that out. It's a lot of fun, and they're a sponsor, so they're helping us out, so we're helping out them. They scratch my back, and I say thank you very much. So, that being said, let's get on to the football. All right, so last season, the Steelers topped out the division at 13-3. The Ravens with 9-7, the Bengals were 7-9, and of course the Cleveland Browns were 0-16. Not only signaling, God, do they need help, and being just like the Lions all those years ago, but also getting HBO's Hard Knocks, which I gotta say, I watched the first episode, and it was pretty good. Especially, you have the head coach, like his mom just died, and his brother just died. Like, I want them to do well. But then again, like, you have the Buccaneers from last year on Hard Knocks, and like, it looked like they were gonna do well, and that didn't end up well at all. So, let's start with the division champs from last season, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they took our boy, one of the guys I did not want to leave, and that is Morgan Burnett. I think Morgan Burnett is really going to help that defensive out. It adds a veteran kind of perspective. He adds that experience to that very young defense. Speaking of defenses, they did draft Terrell Edmonds. They also got 2 other big players. This is on the offensive side of the ball. They got James Washington, and they also drafted a quarterback, Mason Rudolph. Now, last year we were thinking Big Ben, like, he threw like 5 picks against the Jaguars. He's like, maybe I don't have it anymore, talking about retirement. And then they go to the division round, and he seems like he's fine, saying that he's got like 3 more years left in the tank. So you think Big Ben's going to come back out. He's going to be doing well. He's got Antonio Brown to throw the ball to. No more Martavius Bryant, but there was the emergence of last year's rookie sensation, Juju Smith-Schuster, who is one of the most fun names to say in the NFL. So both those guys should be tearing it up. And of course, they still have Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, but for how long, that is the question, considering there is a bit of a holdout between Bell and the Steelers. Who knows if he's even going to be on the team next year? His future is a big question mark. Now, that being said, the one key component that they haven't replaced, of course, is like the story that is getting a little less tragic, and that is Ryan Shazier. So he was a stud when he was playing, and then obviously had that very, very terrible spinal injury last year. I just saw a video last week that he's like up and walking, which is on his own, which is phenomenal. But that defense, they definitely, they weren't amazing last year. They had TJ Watt, who was doing well, and they're really going to need him to step up. And I feel like that defense is really not it's not the old Steelers. It's not a highlight on them anymore. It's more focusing on the offense. And this might be one of the last years where you have all those components together, especially depending on what happens with the Bell situation. So that's the Steelers. The Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, for me, are almost similar like the Dolphins in the AFC East, in that I just don't know what direction they're going in. You have Joe Flacco, who has been mightily struggling ever since he got his epic contract after winning the Super Bowl. He got paid. I think he is the perfect definition of like a mediocre quarterback that just did all the right things and just won a Super Bowl in his contract year and was able to really cash out on it because they had no choice. But the Ravens, though, they drafted and this sent Baltimore wild. They went back up into the first and got Lamar Jackson. So this might be a signal of like a changing of the tides. If I'm not mistaken, they're only like 2 years into his 6-year contract. So, of course, Joe Flacco was not happy about that. He didn't speak to press about that. But if Flacco is playing, which I'm assuming he is, I don't see Lamar Jackson taking over immediately. They got Hayden Hurst as a tight end. That was their first round pick in the draft, which kind of fills that Dennis Pitta hole that's been there for a while. Dennis Pitta was a great tight end. He was wonderful, especially for fantasy. And then injuries plagued the ever-living crap out of him. He's got some offensive weapons. They lost Danny Woodhead, but they got Michael Crabtree and they got Willie Snead. And Crabtree's really going to be like their number one guy. They don't have Jeremy Maclin anymore. Don't have Mike Wallace anymore. So this offense is super duper underwhelming. I just don't really, nothing about this excites me at all, which is why, while I don't expect to see Lamar Jackson this season, it could happen. Depending on how Joe Flacco is going to be playing, but he really doesn't have a whole lot of support and help. Their defense is really like their talented part of their team. That really is what allowed them to win 9 games last season. But, I mean, I don't know how much you can hold a non-existent running game and really no offensive weapons for so long. Because at least Peyton Manning, he had the targets, he had the running back. I feel like this is just the Ravens team right now, except they don't have the offense to support it at all. Then you got the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, the Cincinnati Bengals. So they got some highlights going for them. They drafted Billy Price, the center, who they need because that offensive line was atrocious. And of course, more for Packer fans, the Bengals was the last one on Aaron Rodgers' hit list, so he was able to defeat them last year in an overtime game. Yeah. They also have, of course, one of the best receivers in the league, A.J. Green, who is going to be playing side-by-side by tight end Tyler Eifert. But the problem is Tyler Eifert can't stay on the field. So, Bengals fans, don't really know about, other than that, what your wide receiver targets or your passing threats are going to be. But you got Joe Mixon, who's looking pretty darn good as a running back with a more sturdy offensive line. He should be having a better year. The defense was okay, but again, this is one of those teams that, for me, is really not exciting. You got Dalton there, he's there. He's never really in much of conversation. So I feel like this is just very meh when it comes to a team. They sneak into the playoffs. They always get eliminated in the first round, or they somehow they play the Texans and then they wind up going to the divisional round and then they always lose. I just don't see the team going all the way. And then finally, the 0-16 Cleveland Browns. They made a bunch of moves in the offseason. They got Tyrod Taylor from Buffalo, and that's going to be their starting quarterback. They got Carlos Hyde as running back, and they got Jarvis Landry as their wide receiver. The biggest one, I think, obviously being Jarvis Landry, and Tyrod Taylor is going to kind of keep them afloat until they decide to play Baker Mayfield, who was their number 1 pick. They also got Demarius Randall. So have fun with that, guys. You will have a grand old time with him. And of course, their draft, they also got cornerback Denzel Ward, which I feel like they super duper reached for. I would have loved him for the Packers, but maybe that's why I'm a little bit jealous. But we'll see. They also got Nick Chubb as their running back. Their running game really is not too impressive either. They got Duke Johnson and everything. They don't even have Isaiah Crowell anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what their running game can do. But I feel like they have the talent there. They're building that defense, which looks really good. Myles Garrett is no longer injured, so that defense should be shoring up a little bit. They need a little bit of help on the corners. But you have Jarvis Landry, and if Josh Gordon's able to stay on the field, that is a dynamic duo, and Tyrod Taylor is going to be able to win them some games. So I definitely see them able to at least win a couple of them. If we want to push it, maybe getting up to 6 or 7 wins, but we shall see. Now, if we're going to go some rankings and see where I think this division is going to iron itself out, I think the Steelers, while I don't know if they're going to go 13-3, I don't think they will. I think they'll hold on to the division. There's no reason why they shouldn't. I'll put the Bengals at number 2 because they're a little bit more exciting. Then I'm going to pick the Browns at number 3. I think they're going to have a little bit of a resurgence. And the Ravens, just because I feel like the Ravens are stuck in neutral, I'm going to put them down in the basement. I'm going to pick the Browns, actually not being the worst in the AFC North for a change, but we will see. And of course, that's just my opinion, so I want to know what you think down in the comments below, so let me know. Do you agree with this ranking? Do you not? Do you think the Steelers are going to be able to hold on to the division? I don't see why not. There's always I don't see them really having much competition in this division. So we shall see. And you heard it here, folks. that Browns are going to win some games. Definitely are. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, TomGrossi Comedy, or Tom Grossi Comedy on the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all that great, wonderful stuff. My debut comedy album is coming out 2 weeks from tomorrow or whenever this decides to go out, Friday. So regardless, the 24th of August. So I'm very proud of that. It's going to be on iTunes, Amazon. You can also pick up a physical copy on TomGrossiComedy.com. Thank you for that support. You could also, if you have any questions for Mark Murphy, that interview is next Wednesday. So that will be happening as well. So put some questions down in the comments, and I'll be sure to try and ask those to him as well. And also, I am running the New York City Marathon in a couple months, or 3 months from Sunday. And so I am running for Parkinsons. So if you want to donate, that will be down in the link in the description down below. Whew, got lots of things going on. Lots and lots of things. Again, there's also going to be some live streams coming up pretty soon. I'm going to be doing one for the album. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have a grand old time. So, thank you so much for watching. No fog. This is great. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.